He knows to stay humble. That's it, man. Just one for the office. Sorry, in the middle.
Big fight news is here. As September 13th gets closer, everyone is talking about the huge super middleweight match between Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez. The excitement is growing every day, and fans can't wait to see these two stars face each other in the ring. This year, everyone is talking about Terence Crawford's training camp. He has closed the doors to reporters, fans, and even some of his close people so he can focus only on the biggest fight of his life. His one goal is simple but tough: take the crown from Canelo Alvarez, the undisputed super middleweight champion. It won't be easy, and it will push Crawford to use every skill he has in the ring.
In the ring with Canelo Alvarez, Terence is not going to see anything that he hasn't seen before. No, he hasn't seen this beast on fight night, but he's seen versions of this beast for a very, very, very long time. People have said that he's a blown up 147-pound fighter. If you remember, he said it was hard for him to make 147 when he fought Errol Spence Jr. I was like, yo, how is that possible? I didn't realize like he was really doing everything that's needed to gain the weight properly. Most fighters don't know how to gain weight and fit into a weight class properly. He's done that.
Terence Crawford is moving up from the 154-pound division to fight at 168 pounds, and he's famous for his smart moves, quick feet, and powerful punches. But now he's stepping into a weight class where Canelo has ruled for years, and that makes this fight a huge test. What makes it even more exciting is that Crawford will be facing a fighter who has been almost unbeatable at super middleweight, and most people believe Canelo is the favorite to win.
Canelo is the last fighter in our generation that's a Hall of Famer, you know, that got the biggest name in the sport. So, you know, I chose to go up in weight and to actually try to conquer him from, you know, all his achievements in the division. So why not? I just respect him as all. You know, he's a great fighter. He's, you know, a good boxer. He's a good counter puncher. He's never, you know, off balance. He got a good chin. He got good power.
No, I got you. Now, with all of that, as you rattled off, we'll call it the scouting report, right? What will you have to do to be your best version in order to get this victory?
I think just be myself and just don't get careless in the ring, and, you know, stay sharp all 12 rounds if it goes 12 rounds. I think that's the only thing that, you know, I need to do, and make sure that in training that I sharpen up all my tools.
Even with all the challenges ahead, Crawford isn't backing down. He's working harder than ever, cutting off every distraction by locking himself away in Colorado Springs with no visitors or interviews. That alone shows how serious and focused he is. Fans are especially curious about his training, since Crawford has always fought in lighter divisions, but now has to prove he can shine at 168 pounds. Moving up from 154 to 168 is no small step, especially when Canelo is naturally bigger and stronger in this class. Still, Crawford's team says they're making sure he avoids the mistakes other fighters made when jumping up too fast. He's training to keep his speed and smooth style, which have always been his greatest weapons.
So here's a video that many people have sent me to determine in their mind that Terence Bud Crawford would lose to Canelo Alvarez, or is going to lose September 13th to Canelo Alvarez, as he is sparring here middleweight WBC world champion Carlos Adames, who is 24 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw, 18 wins by way of knockout. And people are saying that Carlos Adames, who's 5'11" with a 73-inch arm reach, is having his way with Terence Bud Crawford. And this is an indication that the 168-pound Canelo Alvarez, who's 5'7" with a 70-inch arm reach, is going to have the same type of success and knock Terence Crawford out. But what people are not paying attention to is Terence Crawford is standing right in front of Carlos Adames and taking the big punches from Carlos Adames as he's standing in the pocket and counter-punching him and taking his blows at a smaller weight class while competing at 147. Now he bulked up.
Still, the size gap is something that can't be overlooked. Canelo is naturally made for 168 pounds, and his strength and non-stop pressure are tough for anyone to deal with. Crawford may be known for his sharp mind and clean, accurate punches, but Canelo's mix of power and size is what has helped him rule across different weight divisions. To win, Crawford will need to rely on his ring smarts and quick speed, always staying a step ahead of the Mexican champion.
We just got some footage. Terence Bud Crawford on his socials, on Instagram, that's where I got mine from. On Instagram, him throwing punches with the slip rope. I want you guys to tell me what you see. On top of that, I may get a copyright because I think he's playing some music, but I like the song so much. We'll just delete it later. Either way, after that, I show Canelo Alvarez on the slip rope when he was preparing for his last fight in Williams Skull.
Boxing legend Andre Ward has also shared his thoughts on this showdown. Known for his smart boxing mind, Ward pointed out that Crawford and Canelo actually fight in similar ways. Both mix skill with power, making them dangerous puncher boxers. But Ward also warned that this fight won't be about who hits harder alone. Neither man can afford to be careless. To win, they'll both need to fight as true boxer punchers, landing heavy shots while staying smart enough to avoid costly mistakes.
Of course, look, you've accomplished everything. You're a first ballot Hall of Famer. You've been undisputed now in 2 weight classes. This would give you undisputed championship in the 3rd weight class. But not just that, you know you're fighting an all-time great, and you know that the credit's going to go to you if you beat a guy like Canelo Alvarez at 168. Is that why you want it?
Well, when I beat him.
When you beat him.
Definitely. You know, the stakes is high. You know, it's high risk, high reward type of fight, and I'm looking forward to it.
When would you say, from memory, that you first thought this fight was a real possibility, that you started thinking about this fight actually happening?
Well, I started thinking about it, you know, a couple of years ago when they started talking about Spence fighting Canelo. Then just, you know, sizing him up, like, all right, how tall is he? You know, how long his arms and things like that, just sizing him up like that and going to his fights and things like that. And when he walk out the ring, I'm looking at him like, man, all that big, you know. So me talking with Turkey and Turkey not wanting to fight, and me like, yeah, this is the fight that I want, being that, you know, he's the last great fighter.
Adding even more excitement, former light heavyweight champion Antonio Tarver has shared his prediction, and he's picking Crawford to win. Tarver respects Canelo as a great fighter, but he admits this will be Crawford's hardest test yet because of Canelo's size and tricky style. Still, Tarver thinks Crawford's sharp mind, fast movement, and unpredictable style will be the key factors that give him the edge over the Mexican star.
He processed fights like nobody else, and he's processed this Canelo fight. He's seen it. He went through it 2 or 3 times already. He knows how this ends. You can tell the way he shadow boxes. He visualizing Canelo being right there in front of him. You understand? Look at the movement. That's all you got to do. Look at the movement. And that's the type of master boxer that Canelo is going to be facing. And the only thing I say is Canelo hasn't faced an opponent like this in a long time. You know what I mean? I think Canelo's going to have to go back to the Caleb Plant fight and look that good, that active, that, you feel me, moving with that type of grace to beat Terence Crawford. Because weight ain't going to make the difference. It ain't going to be the weight. It's going to be the skill set.
But not everyone is convinced Crawford can pull it off. Regis Prograis has warned against overlooking Canelo's power, especially with Crawford moving up so much in weight. He reminds fans that Canelo has already beaten huge punchers like Sergey Kovalev and Gennady Golovkin, proving he can handle dangerous opponents. Prograis also thinks the extra weight might slow Crawford down and take away some of his power, 2 things that could give Canelo a big advantage. In his view, the challenge of facing someone as strong and experienced as Canelo might simply be too much for Crawford to overcome.
I'm going with Terence Crawford, you know. Big weight jump, a dangerous fight, but somebody's got to prove to me that they can break Terence Crawford's will and that he can't figure it out against you. You know, it ain't no disrespect toward Canelo, but I've said this the last couple of years. I'm not betting against Terence Crawford against nobody right now. You got to show me that you can beat him.
Adding another layer of intrigue to the matchup, former light heavyweight champion Antonio Tarver has expressed his belief that Crawford will come out on top. While acknowledging that Canelo is a tremendous fighter, Tarver sees this as Crawford's toughest test to date, especially considering the physical and stylistic challenges Canelo presents. Tarver believes Crawford's intelligence in the ring will give him the edge over Canelo, who may struggle with Crawford's speed, fluidity, and unpredictability.
Terence got to be Terence, bro. He's a real deep thinker. He process.
Boxing great Roy Jones Jr. has also given his take, saying he believes Crawford has more than one way to win this fight. In his eyes, Crawford is the more versatile fighter, while Canelo often relies on one main style. Jones feels that Crawford's drive, along with his ability to adjust during a fight, makes him the favorite going in. Still, he admits Canelo could flip the script if he comes in with the right game plan.
You know, I think that Crawford has the ability to outbox Canelo. You gotta look at it, and then Canelo's older. Crawford has the ability, but he's small, you know, and he can look bigger in. Crawford could look bigger in the weigh-ins and all that stuff, but it's always a difference. When you get that fight with somebody, you can tell. Same thing with Jamel. Jamel fought him, the twin. He fought Crawford, and in all the stuff, the weigh-ins and the press conference, Jamel looked like the bigger man. You know, his head, his neck, everything looked bigger. But when they got in the fight, you can tell. You can see who really was the bigger man. And I think that's the same thing. Crawford is putting on weight, but it's not weight. Like Canelo had the weight already. He doesn't have to put on muscle. He doesn't have to do that. He's already big like that. But I think that Crawford does have the style. He does have the style to beat him. If you look at the people that beat him or gave him troubles, Irislan, DeLaura, Austin Trout, Floyd, and Bivol, you know, they gave him trouble and stuff like that. And Skull moved around a little bit too. So I think that Crawford has that. But I don't know how Crawford is gonna respond when he gets hit. Same thing with Jamel. Jamel was undisputed at 154, and Canelo hit him and shit. Jamel was like, hell no. Jamel took a knee, you know. So it's a big difference. And Crawford had that one fight at 154, and he didn't, you know, Madrimov would touch him up a little bit. And this is nowhere close to Madrimov. You talk about Canelo. Now, if it was just another bigger guy, I would go with Crawford. But you talk about this might be, I mean, people might kill me for it, but well, not really, but this might be the best Mexican fighter ever.
Andy Ruiz has also spoken about the fight, pointing out the challenges both men will face. As a supporter of Canelo, he knows the Mexican star holds a natural size advantage. But Ruiz also reminded fans that Canelo has had trouble with southpaw fighters before, which makes Crawford's style a real threat. He didn't choose a clear winner, but he believes this matchup will be an exciting battle that could swing in either direction.
All I know is that if you were in a Canelo Crawford card, that card would be a million times. It's still an amazing card, but you would have added a lot. Who wins, Canelo or Crawford?
I think it's gonna be a good fight, man. I'm going for Canelo, of course. You know, he's the Mexican warrior as well, but Crawford, man, you can't neglect him or you can't underestimate him as well. You know, he has a lot of skills, a lot of movement. He's a lefty as well. That's what Canelo has trouble with. I think it's gonna be an amazing fight, man. I just can't wait.
Coach Abel Sanchez, who trained Gennady Golovkin for years, gave a more critical view of the fight. He pointed out that Crawford's quick jump in weight, going up so much in just over a year, could hurt him. Sanchez feels that if Crawford had taken more time to build his body for 168, he might stand a stronger chance against someone like Canelo. The worry is that extra weight could slow Crawford down and take away some of his sharp movement, which would play right into Canelo's strengths.
To have a guy come up from 140 pounds in such a short period of time. I'm not saying he couldn't have done it. If he'd have taken 3 or 4 years like Canelo did and built up not only his strength but his bulk in the correct way, he would have had a better chance. But to do it in these 14, 15 months that he's done.
With the big fight just around the corner, everyone is sharing their predictions. Trainer Abel Sanchez also gave his bold take on the Canelo versus Crawford showdown, and his strong words have only added more heat to the debate. This clash is already one of the most talked about events in boxing, and fans everywhere are waiting to see what happens on September 13th. The storylines are endless. Crawford's hunger and risk of moving up so fast matched against Canelo's size, power, and experience. No matter how it plays out, this fight promises drama, action, and fireworks. Can Crawford shock the world, or will Canelo prove once again why he's the king at 168? One thing is sure, fight night will be unforgettable.